The Crayon Who Wouldn't Stay in the Lines. In the heart of a sun-drenched playroom, inside a cozy cardboard box, lived Rory. Rory was a bright, bold red crayon with a tip that was always a little bit rounder than the others. While the other crayons stayed tucked in their paper sleeves, Rory was always leaning out, eager to see what lay beyond the edges of the box. He didn't just want to color, he wanted to dance across the paper. Rory lived with his best friends, Beryl and Silas. Beryl was a brilliant, calm blue, and Silas was a sharp, steady green. They loved the quiet life inside the box, dreaming of the perfect, straight lines they would draw when the sun came up. "Precision is the key to beauty," Beryl would say, adjusting her paper wrapper until it was perfectly straight. When the coloring book opened, Beryl and Silas went to work. Beryl filled in the sky with smooth, even strokes, never letting her blue wax touch the white of a cloud. Silas colored the grass with tiny, identical blades, staying exactly within the black lines of the drawing. Everything was tidy, quiet, and very, very perfect. Then it was Rory's turn. Rory didn't see lines, he saw possibilities. He zoomed across the page like a race car, leaving behind giant loops and wild zigzags. He swirled and twirled, his red wax flying far past the borders of the barn and into the clouds. To Rory, the whole world was a canvas, and the lines were just suggestions. Beryl and Silas stopped their work and stared. "Rory, look at this mess," Silas sighed, tapping his sharp green tip against the paper. "You've ruined the symmetry," Beryl added, shaking her head. They looked at Rory's wild scribbles, and then back at their neat work. Rory felt his bright red glow fade a little. He felt very small and very messy. Suddenly, a loud R-rip echoed through the playroom. Silas had been pressing so hard to stay perfectly inside a tiny corner that the paper gave way. A jagged, white tear opened right in the middle of the drawing, splitting the beautiful meadow in two. Silas gasped, dropping his chin in shock. "It's ruined!" Beryl cried, rushing over. She looked at the giant hole, and then at Rory. "If there weren't so many scribbles everywhere, maybe we could have seen the paper weakening." Rory felt a lump in his wax. He hadn't made the tear, but he felt like his messiness had caused the disaster. The wind from an open window caught the page, blowing the torn paper off the desk and onto the floor. Rory sat on the edge of the fallen paper on the floor. He looked at the jagged edges of the tear. It wasn't a straight line. It wasn't a perfect circle. It was wild and unpredictable, just like his scribbles. Suddenly, a spark of an idea flickered in his head. He didn't need the paper to be whole to make it beautiful. Rory hopped onto the paper and began to move. He didn't stay on one side of the tear. He leaped across the gap, drawing bold, thick bridges of red wax from one side to the other. He spun in circles, creating massive, fiery feathers that sprouted from the jagged white edges. He wasn't coloring a meadow anymore. He was building something new. As Rory worked, the mess began to take shape. The jagged tear became the spine of a magnificent creature. The red swirls became massive, flickering wings of fire. With one final, triumphant loop, Rory drew a long, curved neck and a proud head. The tear in the paper wasn't a mistake anymore. It was the heart of a mighty dragon. Beryl and Silas drifted down from the desk to see what the commotion was. They stood at the edge of the dragon's wing, their jaws dropping in awe. It's incredible," Silas whispered, touching a waxy red feather. "The tear makes the wings look like they're actually moving," Beryl realized. They saw that Rory's mess was actually magic. From that day on, the crayon box was a little bit louder and a lot more colorful. Beryl still loved her skies, and Silas still loved his grass, but every now and then, they would let their lines wander. They learned that while perfection is nice, there is a special kind of brave beauty that only happens when you're willing to color outside the lines.